Welcome to K-Drama School. I'm your host, Grace Jung, and class is now in session. Make some show date announcements. They're pretty much the same as what I already announced, but the Cold as Fuck comedy show, which is happening on Wednesday, October 6th at 7 p.m. That's going to be at the Yard Theater. It's in Hollywood. It's on Melrose. It's going to be an amazing show. Please come. If you come to the show, I will shake your hand. I will take photos. I mean, it's going to be really, really good. You have no idea how incredible this show is going to be. It's a variety comedy show. The lineup is amazing, and it's going to be such a treat. Kristen Lundberg and I are co-hosting it. I'm really excited for it. Please come through. On October 14th at 6 p.m., I'm going to be at Stax Comedy, which is at Sideshow Bookstore. It's a really fantastic show that Milan Patel runs, and I love that guy. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be really fabulous. The Comedy Roof is one of the best shows in Los Angeles at the moment. Always got an amazing lineup, always a fantastic time. So if you're in Los Angeles, please come through. I would love to see you. The show I'm going to talk about today is a classic. It is a Korean drama classic. And if you grew up with K-dramas, you know this show. It's called Autumn in My Heart, aka 가을 동화, and it is a year 2000, a Y2K drama that was released on KBS, and it put Song Hye-kyo on the map. This is what people don't understand. Prior to Autumn in My Heart, prior to 가을 동화, like pre-가을 동화 Song Hye-kyo, she was a nobody. Nobody knew her. Isn't that insane? Isn't it insane that there was a time when nobody gave two shits about Song Hye-kyo? And today she's considered like the most beautiful woman in South Korea. It's like her and Kim Tae-hee and Chun Ji-yeon. It's like the three of them. That's the trinity. That's the trinity of hotness, of beauty, standardized beauty in Korea. It's like you got to look like one of those three, right? And for me, like Song Hye-kyo, she's my favorite. I would say she's the hottest one. So Song Hye-kyo is the star of Autumn in My Heart. She co-stars alongside Song Seung-won and Won Bin. So this is like the hottest three people in South Korea in the year 2000. They just put the three of them together in this one drama, and it was a mega hit. A mega hit. Like, people in China, they still watch Autumn in My Heart. Like, it still broadcasts in China. So Song Hye-kyo, she was starring in like Korean sitcoms when she was really young. Song Hye-kyo actually started out very young. She started off as a model, like a child model. So she was in show business since her childhood. But Song Seung-won, he started out as a model. I believe Won Bin also started out as a model. If you look at their faces and look how tall they are, you'll understand why they would start out as models, right? So Song Hye-kyo was also a model, but she was a commercial model. I don't think she's very tall. Like, I from what I hear, she's very, very short, but she's very beautiful. And Autumn in My Heart is just one of those dramas. Like, for me, right? Like, oh my god, this show came out 21 fucking years ago. Like, I was a teenager when this show came out, and this show messed me up. Like, it fucked me up good. I was like, how old was I? I guess I was 13. Oh my god. So like I was like at the height of my adolescence, and I watched this show and it just messes with me, right? Like, I'm like pubescent. I'm feeling feelings that I never knew I had. And this show messes me up, right? What I love about this show is the fact that it's brutal. It brutalizes its protagonist and everybody around them. Like, everybody just pays dearly for the sins caused against this protagonist. And it's like, who's doing this to her? Who is doing this to Song Hye-kyo, right? So this is the premise. Like, this is the premise of the show. If you're not going to watch the show, then let me just spoil it for you right now. But if you're going to watch the show, I think you could watch the whole thing on YouTube. Just look it up on YouTube. I think you could watch the whole fucking thing. Sometimes, like, if I'm really not feeling anything, there there are times in my life when I'm just totally numb, then I will rewatch Autumn in My Heart just to just to brutalize my innards, just to feel something again. It's like cutting yourself. Watching Autumn in My Heart is the equivalent of cutting myself. So if you watch Autumn in My Heart, you're gonna start feeling feels, okay? So I saw this when I was a teenager. This is the premise, okay? Um, so there's a little girl. She's born. Her name's Chungsa. Okay, Chungsa is her name. So she's born into a very rich family, right? But Chungsa and this other poor girl named Shine, they were switched at birth. All right, some little kid supposedly, like it's implied that it's Hong Seung-eun's. It's shown that it's Hong Seung-eun's character. So, uh, Junse, who Hong Seung-eun plays. So Chungsa's older brother Chunsa, like he swaps these placards, the name placards on the baby bins, and he's like a 3-year-old. He's a toddler, so he doesn't realize what he's doing, but he switches the names, and the fate of these children are totally like messed up forever, right? So Shine, who was the actual daughter of the rich family, she ends up in the poor family, and Chungsa ends up in the rich family. Okay, now when Chungsa and Shine are teenagers, they do a blood test because Chungsa gets in an accident. They do a blood test, and turns out Chungsa is not the daughter of this rich family. So they go through this like mental and emotional crisis. They find out that Shine is the actual daughter of this family. So what this rich family does is they offer the poor family's mother, they offer to take Shine and bring her to the rich family's house, and just they will all just live together. So they're like saying, I'm going to take away your daughter, right? Like, even if they're not blood related, like they still live together, they're still mother daughter. Like you can't break that bond. But that's what the rich family does. And Chungsa, being the very kind hearted and considerate young girl, she leaves the rich family for good and goes and lives with the poor family's mother, who's a single mother because the father, her husband, died of leukemia. Now, years pass. Okay, now the rich family, they move to America. They were like, we can't take this shit, we're gonna leave. They leave for America. They leave behind their daughter Chungsa, and Chungsa grows up, and she didn't get to finish. I think she barely finished high school. She didn't get to go to college because she couldn't afford it, and she's just been working her whole life, right, to make ends meet. And her blood related older brother is a piece of shit. He's like a gambling addict. He's awful. So he's always like, putting the family into financial ruin. So anyway, Chungsa is working at a hotel. She's working as both an administrator and as a hotel maintenance woman. And she meets this hot guy, this really, really hot guy played by Wonbin. His name is Han Tae-seok. And Han Tae-seok is into Chungsa, and he's like, he wants to sleep with her, right? Like he propositions her. He's like, if you sleep with me, I will give you money, right? What an asshole. And Chungsa, and this is a very famous line, like it's quoted all the time in Korean variety shows where they parody this show. She says, "How much can you give me? I need money. How much can you give me?" And that just like messes with Han Tae-seok's head, and he's just like, "Oh my god, I'm such a dick. I'm a creep." Blah 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 blah. Right? All this shit happens. Now, Song Seung-eun's character Junse, he comes back to Korea as an older person. He's a painter now. He's a professionally world-renowned painter. He has a fiance, and he's kicking ass. And he meets Chungsa. He meets his long-lost younger sister, who he's not blood related to. But this is a messed up part. Like, all right, they're not blood related, but they mentally and emotionally they are siblings because that's what they've known each other to be for the first 13 years of their lives. Uh, they start falling in love with each other, right? And like this puts the whole family into this like mental crisis mode. They're like, how could you be in love with her? She's your sister. And he's like, no, she's not my sister. That's why you ditched her and you left her behind and we moved to America. Remember, it was to convince me that she's not my sister, and I'm convinced that she's not my sister, and I'm in love with her. Like, it's so fucked up. And I remember when I was a teenager, I would go to church on Sundays with with my other Korean American church people, and they would all just be like, this show is creeping me the fuck out. Like, they couldn't stand it. They could not stand this show. There's this TV scholar, and he wrote this text, a television studies text, studying gender differences and television reception. So basically, how women as audiences or women TV viewers respond to television versus how male viewers respond to television. And that women are more open to things like incest, homosexuality, transness. Like, women are a lot more flexible and open to these kinds of things on television because they're used to seeing these kinds of themes on soap operas. Like, that was Bordwell's theory. Personally, I think that's a very essentialist theory. Also, gender is a construct. Like, it's not determined or dictated by our physicality as we now know, right? I mean, there are people who are non-gender binary, there are trans women, there are trans men. So this whole idea of essentializing how women are more open to these themes because of soap operas, I think it's kind of pushing it for me personally. I think the theory is a little bit dated. I don't know if he wrote the book in the 70s or in the 80s, but it's a while ago. It's several decades ago, or maybe 90s. In any case, it's an old ass text. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know the exact precise date, but it's an old ass text. It's definitely not from the 2000s. It's like year 1990, if not earlier. But there is something to be said about openness, okay? And perhaps even the queer ability that these kinds of shows have for the viewer, okay? So the more open you are to these things, the less ridiculous that they seem. Or even if they seem ridiculous, you can understand it in camp terms. By camp, right, I mean, fucking Susan Sontag wrote an entire book on what camp is as a definition. But camp is something that you see as excessive and hyped up and like almost ridiculous, but it's celebratory, right? So like when you go and watch drag shows, right? Like on Monday nights, if you go to the gay bar, you see drag shows, right? With drag queens, drag kings, and they're like, it's excessive, a lot of costume, a lot of hair and makeup, like songs by power divas where they belt out, okay? So there's this excess in terms of glamour, in terms of materiality and presence, and sound and visuals and all of this, and all of it is in the realm of uh, hyperbole, and it is celebrated, right? So there's this beauty to it. There's a love and appreciation around camp themes and camp things. So for me, Korean dramas like Autumn in My Heart is a camp drama, and in that regard, it has a queer potential. Okay, so Autumn in My Heart gets more ridiculous. Okay, so Chungsa, okay, after she goes through all this pain and agony of being abandoned by her rich family and then finding them again and then falling in love with her brother, and everybody's rejecting her. Everybody's saying, you can't be in love with your brother, you guys are assholes, like, stop it, you're ruining our lives, right? Like, they go through all this nightmare, and what happens? Chungsa gets diagnosed. She's like age, what, 22, 23? She's so young. She gets diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia, okay? It's the disease that her poor father died. The father she never met, okay, is the disease that killed him. And she gets diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia. And now it's like Chunsa went fucking crazy. Like, he's just like, now I have to be with you. Like, nobody's gonna stop me. We're gonna be together. Okay, so they decide to do this, like, their own little personal small like wedding ceremony, like just the two of them at this school that they used to go to when they were kids. It's like really fucking weird. And then shortly thereafter she dies. She dies. She dies at the beach. And this is something that you also see in Stairway to Heaven, right? Like the 2002 drama Stairway to Heaven. I think it's a 2002 drama. It might have been 2004, but that's the drama that I talked about with what's her face? Chiju. Chiju is in that, and she also gets cancer and she dies at the beach. And I'm just like, what's with Korean drama directors and killing off their leukemia-ridden female protagonist at the beach? Like, why does it have to be at the beach? I mean, why are you ruining the beach for everybody? Like, a beach is a happy place, you know? Now, every time I go to the beach, I imagine Song Hye-kyo and Cheju dying of leukemia. Like, that's what I think about. Yo, like, year 2000 K-dramas, they did not fuck around. Like, they were fucking intense, all right? Autumn in My Heart is part of the what do they call it? It's called the Endless Love trilogy or something. So Yoon Suk-ho, who is the director of all of these dramas, so he directed Autumn in My Heart. That's the first one that came out in year 2000, and then he directed Winter Sonata, with Cheju again, with Cheju, okay, and Bae Yong-jun, right, Yonsama, as known as in Japan, came out in 2002, and then 1 year later, this director Yoon Suk-ho, he brought back Song Seung-on from Autumn in My Heart, and then he paired Song Seung-on up with everybody's favorite Son Ye-jin. All right, so Son Ye-jin, Son Ye-jin and Song Seung-on are in this drama Summer Scent, and it is part of this K drama director's endless love series. Okay, um, this came out in the year 2000. Summer Sun came out in 2003. It's not my personal favorite, honestly. It's kind of a it's kind of a shitty show, but if you love Son Ye-jin, if you love Song Seung-on, this is the show that you should see. All right, and unlike Autumn in My Heart, okay, Autumn in My Heart fucked people up. All right, so many fans wrote in letters and they were like, if you guys do this to us again, we're gonna boycott your shows. Like, we're not gonna watch your shows ever again. Like, so I heard this is just a rumor. I don't know if it's true, but the year that Winter Sonata came out, everybody said, because, like, I don't know, like, Korean drama netizens, like Korean drama fans of the internet, they're insane. Like, they know everything. They somehow, like, news gets leaked and it would go viral and they would know everything. So everybody knew that before the series even ended, everybody knew that the writer and director were going to kill off Bae Yong-jun, his character in Winter Sonata. And these fans wrote in letters and they were like, if you fucking kill Bae Yong-jun, no, like, we're done with you. We're done with the both of you. Like, we're not gonna have it. So the writer and director, they decided collectively to change the ending, and they saved Bae Yong-jun and they gave Cheju and Bae Yong-jun a happy ending in Winter Sonata, right? And I think that power, that empowerment, and that motivation to write in and be like, no, do not kill off our protagonists. Hello, stop it. I think that came from the fact that they were all scarred and just really messed up mentally and emotionally broken after watching Autumn in My Heart. I mean, that was a fucked up show, man. I was depressed for a full year. This is not a lie. I was depressed for a full year after seeing Autumn in My Heart. That's how messed up they were. The ruthlessness. Of course, today, when I see people being like ridiculously, insanely brutal to their characters, like, I kind of laugh about it, but still, I do get affected. Like, I really do get affected by it, okay? Homeland, right, with Claire Danes. When they killed Quinn's character, I was seriously depressed. I think for about like 4 days straight, I was really blue. Like, really, really blue. Every time I had a drink, I was thinking about how sad I was over Quinn's death. I was like, they really did him dirty on that show, you know? So, like, I mean, what do we make of that? Like, what do we make of um our affective feelings around these characters, our affective attachments to these TV show characters who were not real. Technically, they're not real in our day-to-day lived reality, but in another sense, they are real in that we have an emotional attachment to them. And they're recurring characters and we see them visually, and visually we are stimulated, and we know their names and they have feelings, and they these actors breathe life into them, and they have actions and they have stories and histories around them, and so they kind of do have a realness around them. Like Bambi Haggins, she wrote that great article It's in this TV anthology book. She has this great essay in that book where she talks about real feel. Okay, that's her way of measuring or gauging the realism of television, and it's based on feeling, right? Like we gotta acknowledge feels. We gotta acknowledge the feeling. We gotta acknowledge affect, and consider it just as much of a priority as the other things, the things that STEM fields consider so important, like numbers and whatevs, machines, like whatever the fuck. All right, but feeling is real. You know why? Because we're human. Okay, feelings are very important. And for me personally, like my feelings, I'm able to intuit my world, where I'm at in my life, how to take care of myself, what I need, what I don't need. Like for me, my feelings are my compass, my navigational guide, and they're very important to me. And when I'm watching TV shows, they are fully on. So if you ever have feelings for TV shows and TV characters, I feel you. All right. I see you, and it's real, and it's nothing to poo poo or nothing to, consider less than some other shit. It's just as important as the ratings, is my point. Okay. So Autumn in My Heart, great show. Great show, and I think it's very appropriate considering that autumn is here. Autumn is now fully here, okay? Today I'm going to talk to Elbert Danger Kim. He is a stand-up comedian based in Los Angeles. Uh, Elbert is an interesting guy. He's Korean American. He has this younger brother vibes that I get whenever I see him. He's a good son. Okay, he takes care of his mother, who is, I guess she's a sick woman. So Elbert is a caretaker to his mother, which is a very good thing. Elbert's a good guy. Elbert's an overall good guy. He's part of the LA comedy community, and I think that is worth something. And we had a very interesting conversation around themes like fear. Fear came up numerous times, so it was an interesting chat. Let's talk to Elbert Kim. Thanks for making the time, man.
Yeah, thanks for scheduling this. This is cool. This is like the first time I've been on another comics podcast.
Really?
Yeah. I know everyone's got one, but no one, they'll plug it and be like, "Hey, I got a podcast." I'm like, "Cool." And you wait for them to be like, "You want to be on it?" But so I just like stand there. I'm like, "Cool, man. You got a podcast. Are you going to invite me?" Okay. And I
Nobody
always
asked
feel
you?
weird. No one asks. They'll tell me they got a podcast, and I'm like, "Cool. You gonna invite me on it?" But they don't.
That's messed up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I did a couple. It's that's whatever. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's just what it is. I mean, I
Yeah, I'm
think it's
not
something that
devastated.
all the comics just started doing when we were all just locked up and had nothing to do and nowhere to go. Yeah, I think that's when it started happening. Do you have a podcast?
Surprisingly, I don't. I should probably start one to be a
Why?
real comic.
What? Or I
You know,
mean, or just be more original and don't have one ever.
right? I feel like that's how you differentiate from the pack now. You gotta just
Mm-hmm.
be like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just noise. I like your podcast though. I checked out some episodes.
Oh yeah? Which ones?
Yeah, I just checked out the most recent one where you're talking about tennis. I also it was like it coincided with you on your Instagram stories because I saw you just like bawling your eyes out watching
Oh
the.
my God, I was dying. I was just like, I lost my shit. Well, it was
I could
just
see
like,
that.
yeah, it was just an emotional week anyway because, do you know Fu Quan Johnson?
Yeah, yeah, I was sad.
Yeah, like that news like fucked me up, and I
Are you
mean, I was
close with
like,
Phil?
I mean, I knew him,
Uh-huh.
like we were buddies, so I guess I felt
Damn.
affected by it. I mean, it's just sad when any comedian dies, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you feel some type of kinship because we know we're all in it together. We're all funny people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Exactly.
I've just had this weird streak of like entering a scene and then somebody who was like pretty prominent in it dying, but like I don't know who they are because I just haven't. met him and everyone just being devastated around me and like having something to say, and I'm just kind of like, this is super sad, but
Hmm.
like I, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know him, and
Why? What
everyone's
other
like
scene
putting posts.
were you in?
I was in San Diego, and
Uh,
there was like a comic who was there who he like died like
hmm.
swimming at night, and I don't know. It sounded kind of like suicide-ish, but
Oh, Jesus. So
yeah,
he was swimming in
and
the ocean.
he was, and it was like he like it's like sus because he took off his clothes and put it in a
Hmm.
pile and then went into the ocean to swim like
Hmm.
at like 2 a.m. in the morning, and then they found his, I'm not going into detail, but anyways, like I
Yeah,
that it was devastating to the scene because apparently he was
it's
like,
horrible. It's
yeah,
horrible. It's
yeah,
even worse because that has such like a intense visual, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And
Yeah.
like if for like a week everyone was just a mess, but I didn't know who he was because I literally
Hmm.
never saw him before.
Hmm.
So I was just like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And then they're all just, And so I was like, "I think I'm gonna take a break for a little bit until
Yeah.
this pulls through."
Hmm.
But this year's been terrible in terms of like
It's been
just
awful.
blows to comics.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, there was another comic, a young one. I think he was like Filipino and gay. Like I forget his name, but he
The
also
guy with
died. I don't
glasses,
know.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know him.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
know
know
what you're
him?
talking about. No, I another person who like everyone seems to know
Yeah,
him, but I never seen him.
yeah. I think I've
So
seen him like once or twice, and I remember thinking, "Oh, he's very funny," but I never really exchanged words with him. Like I wasn't tight with him like that. But yeah, it's sad when like comedians die in our scenes. I mean,
yeah,
it's a sad
it's sad when
period.
anybody
Like,
dies. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, like when Norm Macdonald like died too, I was just like, this is like the worst. It's like the worst week
yeah.
ever.
I love that man.
I loved Norm Macdonald. Oh my God.
He's just that guy was so smart. He
Yeah.
was he was always pretending to be so stupid, but he was so smart. That's why I
He
loved him.
had this like kind of like a Andy Warhol like insecurity,
Hmm.
uh like you say, he's very intelligent. Like he's very well read, but he didn't go to college. Like I think he barely graduated high school.
Hmm.
And so he's always been insecure about not being a learned man. And that always like haunted him. But,
Yeah, I
you
heard
know,
with his book, he wrote it once
mm,
and then threw it away because he thought it wasn't good enough and then
hmm,
rewrote it, which is
yeah,
like insane to me because I'm just like, I'm gonna write a screenplay and I don't even make it through one. So
mm,
the fact that
yeah.
he could just write two back to back is insane to me.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show, like, I mean, we're all capable of doing it. If you could do it, you could do it. I
Right. I
mean,
mean, maybe one day.
yeah, like he's just like a peculiar person. Like I was re-listening to his interview with Mark Maron on WTF, which is like the only podcast I listen to these days.
Hmm.
And it was from like 10 years ago. He did this interview in 2011, and he was just like such a weird and interesting person. Like he was saying how he saw this 16th century painting at a museum and he hates going to museums, like he has no interest in art, but then he saw the 16th century painting of a woman that he thought was like really attractive. Like he was like, "Oh, she's so beautiful." And he was like falling in love with her. But then it occurred to him that this was painted in the 16th century, so she's obviously dead. So he was like heartbroken over this. And he was like genuinely like tearfully mourning this unrequited love. And he was saying how fucked up that was because like even at his own father's funeral, like he didn't cry. But this like fucked him up?
Damn. This power of
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. Like he was
That's
like a
crazy.
weird guy, like an intense dude and very sensitive and very like introverted and shy actually. Like did you notice how like he never talks about himself in his stand up?
Yeah, actually, I did. I was like, it's always like a weird bit about
Mm-hmm.
something, but it's never like this is my experience
Mm-mm.
doing anything.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever. He never, ever exposes himself. And it's consistent with the fact that he didn't tell anybody that he had cancer for almost 10 years.
Yeah, nobody knew. That's why like when he died of it, I was like, "What?"
It made
He
no
was still
sense.
he was still doing like performances and
Mm-hmm.
like just chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought he was getting old. It was like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I was just like, bad genetics. He's looking bad. You know, that's the white in him. But it was
Yeah.
cancer, so I feel bad now. So it's like, oh shit.
I know. Cancer was rotting him away slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 61. That's not that old, you know? It's like,
Yeah. But what a trooper, you know. I think one of my favorite memories of him is was he got chosen to host the YouTube Awards,
hmm,
which is like the YouTube try to do their own like
their
red
own
carpet award thing,
their
and
own Emmy thing. Okay.
yeah, basically like the Emmys of YouTube's like, and it was just like instead of an audience full of like rich people, it was just
It's
an
like the
audience.
worst person to like ask to host.
Yeah,
He's not
it
gonna
was
take
the
that seriously.
no. He came, and they had like a bunch of like meme like internet stars to like be
Yeah.
part of this panel, and like Norm Macdonald is like the host, and
Yeah.
he's comes in a tracksuit and like New Balance, just like a wife beater underneath, and
Yes.
like a Slurpee cup, and he just sits there, and he's just not taking it seriously and just trolling it, and he would keep asking people who they were. He's like, Who are you again? Who are you again?" And then since they're all like internet stars who are trying to be stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, I do this," and like in between them explaining, he just would cut them off. So he'd be like, "Who are you again?" And he just cut them off,
I love that's beautiful. That is
and he just starts smoking
beautiful.
at one point
Yes. I love
with
that.
cancer, mind you.
Yeah.
So
With full on
that's
cancer. Yeah.
straight up.
Oh my God. What a man. Seriously, what a
Yeah,
legend. Like, when people ask me like who are your top favorite comedians, like he's up there. He's like top three for me, you know?
yeah. Honestly, all my favorite comedians are dead. Like the last surviving one right now is Chappelle,
Mm-hmm.
and that gets me like on edge because like if Chappelle were to go,
Mm.
I'd be devastated,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would have like no more father figures in comedy.
Who
I don't even have a father figure in general, so I'm like,
yeah.
don't take my comedy, Dad, please.
Yeah. It's the only one left. I mean, I assume Rodney Dangerfield is an influence because you have the word danger in your name.
A little bit, yeah. It was kind of like I like him, and that
Huh.
definitely like played a factor in terms of like should I use it as a stage name? But like I used
Hmm.
Danger when I was in high school as like a just like a stupid nickname that I gave myself because I'm cool like that.
Why?
And I don't know. I was just like it was. Oh yeah, I remember. I watched Austin Powers and the entire bit of him having Danger literally as his middle name. I thought
Hmm.
was hilarious for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the right amount of stupid and goofy that just matched with me. So like one day I was just like, "Oh, I'm Elbert Danger Kim," but I was
Yeah.
like I was a pretty big pussy. I still am. I'm like a real big pussy. I just am.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of everything. And as a
Yeah.
kid, that
Yeah.
would stop me from doing all the other things the other kids were doing.
Like what?
Like I was like a big nerd, and so they'd be like, "Yo, come out," and I'm like, "Oh, like, I don't know if I should sneak out, you know, like I
Uh,
might get in trouble," or like they're like, just defy your strict Asian mother, and I'm like, "I don't
mm.
know, I'm scared," or
You were
like, "Hey,
afraid of
go
breaking rules.
breaking rules, doing
Okay.
things that were scary, like go talk to that girl or ask her to homecoming or something." I'd be like, "Oh no, man," or like stand up to that guy. I'm like, "Oh no, man, I'm scared," and
Yeah.
and after a certain point, like I think I got like to middle school, and I was like, I'm a loser, man. Like I haven't really
Mm.
I want to do these things, but I'm just so scared to do any of them.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so one day I just used that as a joke, but then somebody at one point said to me, it was like, "We don't need Elbert Kim right now. We need Elbert Danger Kim."
Ah.
And I was like, "All right, fuck. Elbert Kim's a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
He's too afraid to do it. But what about Elbert
Mm-hmm.
Danger Kim?" And then
Yes.
I did it, And then I
Yeah.
just kept doing it like that.
Mhm.
And then even with stand up, I was too afraid to do stand up.
Mhm.
And then I was like, all right, Elbert Kim's too afraid to do stand up, but what about Elbert Danger Kim?
Right.
And then
Mhm.
it just kind of became my stage name after that.
Yeah. It's it's your alter ego.
Kind of, yeah. But then it's like, is it? Is it me? Is it a part of me? Is this just another side of me? Who knows?
Everybody has an alter ego. They just
What's
don't know
yours?
it. Mine, I have two, and they're always at war. I have a drill sergeant in me that's always like barking at me to,
But
you
just
know,
at you, like not to anyone else.
oh, well, anything that I do to myself, I do to others. Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, the reason why I have like a bunch of friends who are terrified of me and strangers and acquaintances who are terrified of me is because of that side of me. Like I can be very intense sometimes, like
Uh huh.
rigid and strict and like a lot of pressure on myself and on others and stuff. But then I also have this other side that's like the inner child, like the one that just likes to like play and like, hang out, not
Yeah.
care, la la la, like
I
that
think
side.
you definitely need that side if you're gonna be a comedian. I feel
Yes.
it's just the inner child
Like
who wants to play.
I was talking about how like all comedians have Peter Pan syndrome, kind of. Like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree.
right? Like I went to Kari Assad's birthday party that she was having at the park,
Uh
and I
huh.
was like, where's her party? Where's her party? And I saw like a kid's birthday party, like pink and balloons and hats, and I was like, that can't be hers.
Give a moon
But it
bounce.
was. It was hers.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
So,
That's what we want, but we just feel like you're too old to have it. But this is the prime time to do it
yes.
because you can afford it. Hopefully.
Yes. Yeah. It's important to tend to that inner child. But a lot of the times, like as we become adults or older or like, uh, I don't know, more disciplined, more jaded, whatever you want to call it, we suppress that inner child's voice and needs more and more and more,
Yeah.
and that's how people become unhappy.
Yeah.
So
For
I hear.
sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like that's been my journey. I feel like I've suppressed that inner child for a little bit too long,
Mm,
and like stand up has been how I've been trying to reconnect with that
mm-hmm.
little kid and learn
Mm-hmm.
to play again
Mm,
and just be my most authentic self.
mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to get there.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
Yeah.
when I first met you, I was super intimidated by you. I don't know,
It's
maybe
everybody.
you were in one of those intense moments, but I was like, "Hi." And you were just like scowling. And I was like, "This is super intense.
Yeah.
That's intense."
I scowl in general. I think I picked that up when I was in middle school because I went to, well, I moved around a lot. Like I wasn't born in the States. I was born in Korea and then I lived in Brooklyn, which is very diverse. Uh, and then my parents moved the family to like Rockland County, New York, which is the suburbs. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
white. It's Irish Catholic white, and they're like the
Ooh,
most racist people. And
it's pretty white.
yeah, I just couldn't stand the racism and the like incessant microaggressions and questioning and so that's when I learned to scowl. It was to keep people away so that they wouldn't piss me off by asking me a stupid fucking question or saying some stupid fucking comment. So that's where that developed.
Damn.
And
Yeah.
and then, like just living in New York as an adult, like I would get catcalled like every single day because I'm Asian, I'm a woman, and like we're like the easiest target. So it was like literally in like every single day, somebody would make some crack, like some sexual remark towards me every single day, and so I would
Mm-hmm.
scowl to try and eliminate that. But
Well,
yeah,
it's
so now
super
it's just a
effective.
habit.
It's effective. If that's a weapon or a defense, like you have sharpened that super
Yeah,
sharp.
It is, but like honestly, when it comes to catcallers, like it doesn't really help. Like they'll do it anyway, But
That's because the catcallers live in their own world. I was watching this video where it was like this New York City dude who's like a notorious catcaller,
hmm,
was being interviewed, and by this guy who's like interviewing guys who catcall
hmm,
as like a way to like hopefully discourage it. And this guy is just like typical like yo, I'm Italian, like New York like guy, and he's just like catcalling people while he's being interviewed
uh-huh,
about being a catcaller. He's giving an interview. He's like, yo, sometimes they just need to hold on one second. Hey, baby, he just starts
yeah,
catcalling
yeah.
somebody, and then the guy's like, they don't like that, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? Like in
Um,
his mind, he's convinced that they love it, and
yeah,
so I mean,
he had no idea.
anything you say to a guy who's catcalling, you're like, hey, can you not do that? They're like, why? This is the nicest thing I can do for you, and it's like,
Yeah, they have no clue. Yeah, yeah,
oblivious.
yeah. But it does like fuck up a person's day. I mean, I'm a lot better with it now, but like back then, like, I was like so sensitive to that. It would ruin my
Yeah,
afternoon.
I bet. It's
Hmm.
like one of those things that I don't know. Like I definitely get a better picture of when the more women I got to talk to as I got older. Like what I mean? Like
When you stop being scared of them and you could talk to them.
yeah,
No.
exactly. Or I'm like, they're people. They want to talk. They're
Yeah.
not that scary.
Hmm.
But then yeah, you realize because like I've never been catcalled in my life.
Mm.
Just never. It hasn't been a thing.
Hmm.
I've been like approached at gay bars, but they're like
Mm.
super super cool and nice about it, and they sometimes
Hmm.
buy you drinks, which is like probably not what a catcall feels like, but
No, it's that's nothing like
it's
that. No.
probably really dirty. Probably feel
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's just catcalling, it's one thing, I've been grabbed before, like assaulted on the streets. Like it's all kinds of fucked upness, and I don't know. Like I remember like this was during voting season, and like all these like dudes who are running for office would like stand by the train station, the metro entrance, and like hand out flyers and da da da. And I'm like,
hmm.
I took one and I was like, if I vote for you, are you gonna end street harassment? You know? And they just looked at me like, what? Like, I have no idea. Like, we're gonna do something for schools and juice boxes or whatever. I was like, no, I want you to end street harassment. Otherwise, fuck off. Like, why should I vote for you? Um, but it's like one of these
Juice
sociological issues.
boxes,
Yeah, yeah, they're like,
street harassment, way down
yeah,
there.
like figure it out. It's a sociological issue. There's got to be a fucking way out of it. And there's a lot less of that here in LA. Like I don't really walk around in Los Angeles. So I don't get it as
Yeah,
much.
I feel like in LA, I out of because I've lived in a lot of cities. I've
Yeah, what cities have you lived in?
I've lived in New York, Boston, DC, Seoul.
Are you from the East
Uh,
Coast?
I am from the East Coast, yeah.
Oh,
I,
where
I
where
grew
in the
up
East Coast?
I grew up in Virginia, but I
Okay.
went to college in Boston and like kind of just
Mm.
bounced around like New York, Boston, DC for a little bit.
What'd you
And I also
study in
lived in
college?
I studied international relations.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I
Okay.
originally wanted to study film, but then my family was
Uh,
like, "That's a
you
bad
listen to the
idea."
family.
I did. I was 18 and I again scared, didn't know what the world's about, so I'm like, I'm gonna take
Yeah.
a cue from my family on this one, and then I'm like,
Yeah. You let
that was a
fear
mistake.
drive you in the moment.
That's a bad idea.
But you never
Don't
you
do
never
that.
thought about like switching majors or anything?
College was a weird time for me. I like it's like again, I was suffering from Peter Pan syndrome. I knew that there was like this deadline of when you exit school, you're gonna have to like be like an adult, get a job, do that thing, and I just didn't want to do that. I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't want to do it. So I just kind of like did my classes, and then on my free time, I explored. Like I met a lot of people, went to a lot of events, did all sorts of things, and like kind of like developed like personal growth over like any type of like academic or like professional growth. Like I wasn't like doing internships or anything like that. So that by the time I got to like the end of my junior year, I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I'm gonna work in this or do anything in this or even want to work. And then I
Hmm.
graduated and really knew I didn't want to.
Mhm.
And then I actually I can probably say this now, but like I was applying for a job with the CIA
Mhm.
and was like going through that process and then like eventually just dropped it
Hmm.
and then packed a backpack and then just
Mhm.
started backpacking across Southeast Asia for like 2 years
Mm.
because I was just like, peace.
Mm.
I don't know what I want to do, but I know it's not this, so I'm just gonna go.
What year did you graduate?
2013,
And then you went to East Asia from 2013 to 2015. Okay.
Southeast Asia, yeah. So I was like
Oh yeah, Southeast
backpacking
Asia.
around Southeast Asia for a while.
What parts? Like what countries?
I went to Thailand. I started in Thailand, went to Laos,
Mhm.
Cambodia, Vietnam, the Philippines. I stopped in India for 6 months to help my
Wow.
friend make a company,
Mhm.
and then realized that India is just. I don't know if you've ever been to India, but like, goddamn, that place is so hard to live in. Like,
Mm.
it's just,
Mm.
it's too much. So I was like, I got to get out of here. But by that point, I was almost out of money. So I landed in South Korea
Mhm.
and taught English for like almost
Mhm.
2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty
that was fun.
standard. Yeah. It's like that's what Korean Americans do when they don't know what to do, you know?
That's
They go
like
to
our
South Korea
birthright, tour. Like,
to go and
same
teach
way,
English and make some money.
basically.
Yeah.
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 Because it's like a frat party.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Like, when
Yeah.
have you hung out with
Talk
the
about
expats?
talk about that experience a little bit. I have. I have. I have
Yeah.
my own South Korea experience, but yeah, talk about that. Like what was like frat party like about being an English teacher in South Korea as an American or Korean American?
At the beginning of you feel like this is like a different like experience of life, like I'm so
Mhm.
worldly, I'm living in a different country, like this is like how you escape a 9 to 5, you do something crazy like this and like teach English and your only responsibility at this point is like, all right, you go in, you teach English, which you know how to speak kinda to a bunch of little kids
Mhm.
and for like 6 hours, and then anything after that is just you get to party.
Mhm.
They cover everything.
Mhm.
So like most of the teachers, are degenerates, just
Mhm.
like functioning degenerates, and you just go out and drink. I was drunk every single day. I was drunk. There'd be some times where I was still hungover and I hadn't slept from the night before, still wearing
Mhm.
clothes
Mhm.
from the previous day, and I'd go teach kids, and
Mhm.
I'm like, this is normal,
Mm.
and it totally is to that scene.
Mm.
And then by the end of teaching, I realized that like, oh, these expats are all out here as like almost like they're just like it's like a form of escapism, like you
Yeah.
exist in this other country and they all really don't like talking about home that much. It's like they left
Hmm.
for a reason. I started
Mm.
realizing this.
Mhm.
But then like I don't know. I drank too much and then I started having liver problems because I was legit
Wow.
drunk every day. I was
Yeah.
drunk, and because it was a mixture of like the culture and also like if you've got some demons,
Uh-huh.
that's a perfect environment to kind of like drown your sorrows.
Mm. What were you
You
running
know,
away from?
grief and a general lack of understanding of myself,
Mm.
insecurity,
Mhm.
yeah, like fear of what I'm gonna do with my life.
Mm.
And it was actually in South Korea that I discovered stand up.
Mm. Who were you who were your people, I guess, in South Korea? The comedy
There was
people.
this, I forget the name of this place, but like in Itaewon, there's this small, like you have to like walk up a hill,
Uh-huh.
and there's like this small little bar. I forget
Mm.
what it was called. That would do an open mic night
Mm.
every like I think Thursday or something.
Was it run by white guys?
It was owned by this like weird European dude who was like behind the scenes and he'd be like around.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it was white owned, and you get a good mix of like Koreans and you know, expats who would go in there,
Mm.
and it was like the only English mic that I could
Mm-hmm.
find,
Mm.
and like I psyched myself up. I'm like, you know, just try it out,
Mm.
just try it out, and then like I went and like did okay. Like I'm not gonna say I did great, but like you know, like if you get laughs for your first time, you're like, oh my god,
It's a great feeling.
it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it came at a time where I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and like literally everything, like any job interview,
Yeah.
any anything I was doing just felt wrong, and it felt like I was
Like,
trying
what
to
was
do
it
something.
yeah, what was the specific thing about the notion of working? Like, did you have any inkling or sense or vision of where, like what industry you would even be working in, like what you would be doing? Like, do you have none of that? Like, did the whole
No,
idea of an office job just like repulse you? Like,
kind of. It was more of just like the idea that I would have to spend my time doing that. You know,
mm,
like my schedule, my life has a schedule now. Like this,
mm-hmm,
you go to work, you go to work. Like
mm,
most of your time is devoted to making money basically because you need to do
mm,
that now. Whereas like before, it was more like I was more like I like to explore. I just wanted to be out exploring, like having experiences and doing things and just having fun. And then like a part of me felt like that was selfish. Like that's just like you need to grow up. Like life's
mm-hmm,
not about just like having fun. And for
mm,
to an extent that is true, but like
mm-hmm.
and that's
Well, who do
again
you
like
think is
that's like
saying that? Who do you think is saying that life is not about having fun?
society, capitalism, maybe like my parents. I don't know. It's like it's
Okay.
coming from everywhere.
Uh-huh.
You know, like we have so much pressure to like work always. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not working, people are like you're a piece of shit because you're not
Yeah.
working.
Hmm. Okay. So
You,
you're like
yeah,
this Marxist at heart, and you're completely not at all into the idea of having to commit any kind of labor to doing something that you're not interested in.
right. I just kind
Don't
of like
know what it is,
don't know
but
why we're doing it.
not interested in it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Understood. And then you find comedy in Seoul. And then where do you go?
I came back to the States after Korea,
Back
thinking
to
like, all
Virginia?
right, back to Virginia, yeah, because that's where my
Okay.
family is,
Hmm.
or was. And I was like, all right, so maybe I'll come back, find a job because I'm broke, and then
Hmm.
maybe I'll just do stand up on the side. And I
Hmm.
was doing that. I was working at UPS again. It was like my childhood job
Oh,
from like age
interesting.
16 to like it was just like a job that I could always go back to because like
What did you
people
do at
quit.
UPS?
I worked at the store.
Huh.
So,
Got it.
you know, like those UPS stores you go into to
Hmm.
like send stuff. I worked
Yeah.
at one of those,
Okay.
and as long as you have the skills, they'll hire you. You
Yeah.
know, they'll just be like, "Do you know how to do this?" And you're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You're hired."
Mm.
So I could just go back anytime. And they'll just take me on because like
Hmm.
it was a revolving door of people just like coming in and leaving. But then I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
And then I was doing that for a little bit and trying to do stand up in DC, but the scene in DC is like really not friendly to newcomers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they don't have open mics.
Really?
Yeah, they call them open mics, but you have to get booked to be on the open mic.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's not an open mic. That's a
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's even like a DC open mic page that like on the top there's like a disclaimer that says there are no open mics in the DMV area. They're all booked mics.
Then how does it even function then? Like you gotta blow a person? Like how do you even get into this
Exactly. It's
circuit?
weird. Like how do you start? So like I would show up. I would go to like there weren't many mics. There were like maybe five a week that you could go to, and they're all like
Okay.
sprawled out like between like Northern Virginia,
Yeah.
DC, and like parts of Maryland.
Hmm.
And like I would go and just kind of be there, and you know I would like just hang around and trying to see like, hey, can I go up? And they'd be like,
Hmm.
Uh, maybe. And then they're like, do you have a tape? And I'm like, no, I'm new. I don't have a
For a
tape.
mic. Wow.
Yeah. And they're like, nah, like, you gotta hang around. So like, I went for like 2 months straight. I
Wow.
think it was like
Mhm.
for a long time, and then
Mhm.
it just really didn't seem like I was gonna get up at any point. So
Mhm.
I left. I just like really wanted to pursue it. So I was like, you know what? I don't even like Virginia that much. Maybe I should
Yeah.
move to California. And then I
Wow.
moved to San Diego to start. And that's where I actually like started, like going to mics and grinding mics.
Why San
That's
Diego and not Los Angeles? It's an interesting choice.
I was too afraid.
Ah!
I was too scared. Again,
Elbert
pussy.
Danger Kim. Okay.
I
Okay.
was just like, no way. There's no way I can go to LA right now. I'm not ready.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So San
Yeah.
Diego. San Diego's got a great scene.
Yeah, it's pretty good. They have like pure mics.
Yeah.
Like because in LA there are a lot of like pay mics, but in
Uh-huh.
San Diego they're legit just like free.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
just show up, put your name.
They got great clubs. Got
Yeah,
Madhouse over there and the La Jolla Comedy Store, right?
yeah, it's cool. It was definitely a great place to start. But
Yeah.
if I have to say anything about the San Diego scene, it's just that it's very white.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I
Well.
kind of needed to like get more diversity or be around more perspectives than just angry white
Mm-hmm.
guy comics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
When
when
you're
did you
like
move up
on a
to
show.
LA?
Um, like 28, 20, end of 2018. That's when I
Okay.
moved up to LA.
About 3 years ago.
Yeah, I like went to
Mm-hmm.
Japan and did a meditation retreat to get like ready, to get in that right proper mind system, that space.
To
I
get
was like, I
to
need,
get closer to Elbert Danger Kim
yeah,
and
I was like,
further
you need
away
to,
from just Elbert Kim.
right. So I was like, you gotta get harmonic with this, and then go to LA because it's gonna be crazy. And then
Where was this retreat?
it was in Kyoto.
Okay.
I
You
found
just
really
found
cheap.
it like
I found
randomly?
no, okay. So first I found really cheap tickets to Japan, just like on this deal site. It was like
Yeah.
$500 round trip, which is
Uh-huh.
crazy.
That is insane for Japan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've always wanted to go to Japan, so I
Mm-hmm.
was like, and I just quit my job, and so it was like I have free time, and then I've heard of that. This it's called Vipassana meditation. It's
Hmm.
actually fun fact for anyone who's listening, is it's free. It's completely free, and there are retreats all over the world. And it's like a nonprofit organization founded by this guy named Goenka, and he just wants to spread the awareness and the meditation practice called
Is it a white
Vipassana.
guy?
It's an Indian dude,
Oh,
and
thank God. Okay.
yeah, but there are a lot of white people in there. Don't
Of
get me wrong.
course. Of course.
Of
Mm.
course, they need some
They are the
guidance.
market, most likely.
Yeah, yeah, that's how this. How do you think this thing's being funded for sure? White people join. They're like, I gotta donate. That was so profound.
Yeah.
We've got money.
Uh-huh.
Of course, we've got money. We're white.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so like they have it all around the world. You can like go to like just type in Vipassana on Google, and like
Mm.
you just apply and sign up for one of the retreats, and you do a 10-day retreat,
Mm.
and they give you food for the
Mm.
10 days. You don't have to pay for anything. They give you lodging for the 10 days,
Mm.
and you just literally sit there
Mm-hmm.
for 10 days
Mm-hmm.
without talking, and you meditate, and it was cool. It's cool. It was like a really, for me at least, it was like a really good experience to to get in touch with Elbert Danger Kim.
Any
And
any lessons from that experience that you remember specifically from that period, the 10 days?
I just kind of like got to this point where I was comfortable just sitting in one spot, and I
Mm.
realized that my default, and I'm pretty sure everybody's default is like you're like generally just unhappy, just sitting
Mm.
still,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you realize is that you're just stuck in a cycle of madness of like feeling like you have to go
Mm-hmm.
do something so that you don't have to feel like that. But when like the trick is like all you have to do is just sit there and just like feel how you feel, and eventually you'll just like feel chill and just be okay sitting there.
Mm.
And so I was
Yeah.
like super zen after this, and I was like, yes, this is great. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna take this feeling and immediately go
Mm-hmm. To
to
Los Angeles.
LA,
Mm-hmm.
where yeah, that quickly just disappeared. Now I'm just like stressed out and like breaking out in acne. I'm just like, oh my god, what happened to the Zen? What happened to Buddha? What happened to all that?
Yeah. Do you meditate?
I try to. I actually like try when I come back after mics, and I'll sit there and I'll like close my eyes. It's like midnight, and my brain will just start going over bits or something, and I'm just like, God damn it.
Have you
But
tried
I try.
meditating before going to mics?
Like I stopped because I'd bomb.
You bomb after you
I'd
meditate?
bomb. I like if I meditate before a mic, I'll bomb. I've noticed
Really?
two things. Yeah, if I can't read before I go on a mic or
Uh-huh.
perform, and I can't meditate because I'll
Why?
bomb, or and I also can't get high because I'll just like bomb. I
Okay,
get
well,
in this
getting
weird
high,
headspace.
a weird headspace. Interesting. Maybe too relaxed. You're not on your
Maybe,
toes.
yeah, like I gotta be like ready to like roll with it and like kind of play on the play on the balls of your feet and just get ready for
No.
what's coming. Whereas like when I'm like really introspective, I just kind of like get wide eyed and like I freeze. I'm just like, and I don't know what to do. And then I realize that there are like 15 people looking at me, and then
Hmm.
it's a wrap. It's a wrap, and then you eat shit for like 3 minutes, and then you get off, and you're like, I do this for a living. This is great.
Interesting. Well, then maybe try meditating like before you start the day. That's what I do. I have this morning ritual. I meditate in the morning, and then I journal, and then I do this thing called EFT, which is like it's a form of meditation that involves tapping, and it's like similar to like EMDR. So I
I've
do
heard it
that.
where you tap parts of your body.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard about it.
So I do that, and then sometimes like if I'm having like a particularly like anxious morning, then I'll do more like intuitive exercises. I'll like draw something, and then my day begins.
Let
Yeah.
me ask you something real quick. Do
Hmm.
you feel depressed and anxious or anything like that?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like me too, which is why like I've been doing the meditation and stuff because I
Hmm.
also suffer from like depression, anxiety, and
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Ever just get so frustrated that like just to be, like that morning routine you just spelled out, like
Hmm.
doesn't it get you so frustrated that like you have to do all these extra things just to like feel
Hmm.
like normal,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
like
I
able to
haven't.
exist?
Yeah, I haven't thought of it that way yet.
Maybe
I
that's just
haven't.
like a bad way to think about it, but that's
I
like
think
sometimes I
so,
think,
because you
yeah.
could very easily switch that to gratitude. Be like, I get to do these things. These are tools that help me get better. Whereas before, I didn't have these tools at all. Like I think about my,
That's great.
because
That's a good.
I've been depressed since I was a child. I remember looking at like photos of myself like when I was a child, and I just remember thinking, man, like she was so unhappy. Like I was
Damn.
depressed since I was very young. Yeah, yeah.
Really?
And yeah, and like it's been with me all my life. And then I didn't get much of a handle on it until I would say, in the last maybe 10 years,
Okay.
but
Okay, so
for the
you found the
majority,
tools.
yeah. And then these tools with dealing with anxiety, because anxiety is different, right?
Hmm.
Um, that I only acquired like in the last year, honestly. And now I know exactly how to manage it or cope with it. It's just, that morning ritual is like very important to me now. I was like listening to Helen Hunt talk about it too. Like Helen Hunt has some trauma. I mean, she was like
Uh-huh.
an actress and she was a child. Of course, she has them. And she was
Right.
just saying like, a lot of like Hollywood actors do the transcendental meditation (TM), and for her, she's like that's like a part of her day. Like she can't go about her day without doing it. It's like an absolute necessity. And I look at it kind of like that. It's like I lived with these things all my life and they're
Uh-huh.
very uncomfortable. And even when I do these things, they still come up and attack me. So the least I can do is actually dedicate myself to the consistency of it. And I think that consistency um, builds over time and
Right.
gives me a certain stability. Like I've been doing this very consistently since 1 year ago, since
Uh-huh.
September. Like I would meditate like on and off for the last like, for as long as I've been in cognitive behavioral therapy. Therapy is another thing. Therapy also
Hmm.
helps. So I would meditate on and off, but like meditating is like first it's boring and I don't know if it works, like I had all these doubts around it.
Hmm.
But what I noticed in the last year is like I've made like transformative leaps in the last year that I thought was like completely impossible.
Yeah,
And
that's what I hear. It's like a lot of these things like you just do and then you forget about, and then
yep,
one day you just realize that
yep,
it's like made such a huge difference.
because it's rewiring your unconscious.
Yeah.
It's you're never going to be aware of the changes that are happening. It's all in the subconscious. It's all being rewired,
Yeah.
and you only notice it over time,
Retroactively.
retrospectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh, like I
So
used to have this
you have a
thing.
very better way of looking at it. Like mine's from like a point of rage, you know? I'm just like,
Yeah,
why do I have to do this? Like this is so
I think that's
frustrating.
valid though. It is
Yeah.
frustrating. It is like bullshit. It's like, well, why do we? You could even take it to why do I have anxiety and depression in the first place? It could even go there. But the thing about rage is it's like a bottomless pit. It never is satisfied. Rage,
Hmm.
you can never satisfy rage. Like I don't know if you've had. I mean, you're Korean, so you probably like had moments where you just see red and you're like raging out on somebody, like screaming at somebody. You
Yeah,
know,
it's very Korean for
it's
sure.
very Korean. Like you just
Yeah.
black out and it's just gone. You're off,
And then they're
and
dead and you're like, what
there's
did I
no like satisfaction or end to that rage. It just keeps going. But that's how anger works. That's how rage works. It's never satisfied. So the only way to feel better
Uh-huh.
is to redirect it and wait. As
Yeah.
you say, like you were meditating and you watch it sort of calm down, right?
Just pass. It just
It
passes.
passes. It
I
passes.
actually stopped like having because I used to have like huge fights with my mom, you know,
Yeah.
and we live together now, so it's like
Oh my God.
I remember as a kid, like it would be bad, you know, but like now, I
Yeah.
mean, she's still the same person,
Hmm.
but you know, when she does stuff that like pissed me off, like, and I would like blow up as a kid,
So your
I would
family moved to LA
my mom did. My mom is here, and
to
we
be with
she
you,
sold.
or
She kind of just like wanted to leave Virginia. Like
okay.
she sold the house. She had no reason to be there because
Are
like
you an
she
only
lived in this.
child?
No, it's me and my older sister, but my sister's like 10 years older than me, so she
Okay, so
got
she has
married
her
and
own
she's got
life.
her own family and stuff.
Hmm.
And my mom was just kind of like living in this townhouse by herself, and she
Yeah,
would
you have
like,
a younger brother vibe.
do I?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when I
for
met you, I
sure.
was like, he's definitely younger than I am, and he probably has an older sister that he's like terrified of.
Yeah. Am I a lot younger than you? I'm
You're
30.
like, you were born, let me guess,
Okay.
2013, so 91?
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So you're
really
four
cool.
years younger than I am. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a
Yeah,
younger brother, that's how I can tell. My younger
right.
brother's terrified of me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably why I felt it. I was like, she's got that older sis gonna
You got the
smack you.
Nuna vibe.
You got the Nuna vibe for sure. The Nuna
Yeah.
scowl.
The unimpressed face of a Nuna, no matter what you do. I'm not
Yeah, I'm just like this like
impressed.
bubbly little like, hey, what's up? Hey, hey, hey. You're like,
And
oh
I'm
my god,
like,
this guy.
shut up, go away. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so you're living with your mother. Okay. So adjusting to that lifestyle required you to sort of
Yeah,
rearrange your
like
perspectives.
well, I just got older, you know. Like before, it was like my sister who was always taking care of my mom, but then like
Hmm.
uh, my mom moved out here, and then it's kind of like on me,
Mm-hmm.
because my sister's just kind of like doing her thing with her family.
Mm-hmm.
And when my mom moved out here, she got like really sick. Like right before Corona, she like got TB.
Oh my God.
yeah, it's crazy. And
That's such a like she's like a 19th century poet or something. Who gets TB these
right?
days?
Like they didn't even know what it was for a while until
Yeah.
like she finally went to a specialist and they're like, "Holy shit, you got TB." And then they sent her to the
Wow.
ER. And this is like
Jesus.
this is right
Oh my
before Corona.
gosh.
So so
Uh-huh.
like yeah, so like I don't know, my mom almost died like that, like right before.
Yeah, it's a serious illness.
Yeah, it was fucked up. They like give you like 20 antibiotic pills that you have to
Yeah.
take when you have
Hmm.
TB, which is
Hmm.
nuts because like that thing doesn't die right away and it like
Mm-mm. You have to
sleeps
take
and
it for
comes
like a
back.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to go
Mm-mm.
outside.
Oh
And
my gosh. So she was
she,
cooped up at home before the lockdown.
she was doing the lockdown before the lockdown, and then the
Wow.
lockdown happened, and she was still like, so she had to do like almost like
Double lockdown.
double lockdown. And I had like latent TB because like it can be not active in you.
Oh, because it's
So
very contagious. Yeah.
right,
And you
yeah.
live
So
with your
like I was
mother.
like close quarters, so I contracted it. There's like a latent TB, so like I was
Jesus.
taking antibiotics for like 6 months, and it was like fucking me up.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, and then like Corona happens, and like people were still trying to go to Mike's, but I was like, my mom's recovering from like a respiratory illness, so I was like,
Can't.
there's no way, I
There's no
can't.
way. Mm-mm. Is she okay now?
She's doing better. She's doing a lot
Okay.
better. You can probably see the oxygen tanks in
Oh
the
wow.
corner right
Jesus
there.
Christ, man. That is
Yeah.
intense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like we were doing this way before it was like all over the news, you know
Oh
what I
my
mean? It's like
fucking God.
oxygen and like
Can't
trouble
believe your mom
breathing.
had TB.
It's fucking
Jesus.
nuts. It's just
Yeah.
so crazy. Like I didn't
Who like
imagine this was gonna
yeah,
happen.
I've never heard of anybody getting TB in the 21st century, but I actually had like a not it's not full-blown TB, but like when I was switching schools, when I was going to middle school, that all-white middle school, they do this uh vaccination like just to test or they try to immunize you, but then I had a reaction to it. I forget the it's like D and P and something whatever, but they were like you
Hmm.
have like the thing before full blown TB, and I was in middle
You,
school.
you have latent TB then.
Yeah,
You have
maybe
what
I
I
had
have.
what you have. So I had to
Yeah.
take two kinds of antibiotics every single day for like a full year and a half, and I had a like a puffer for asthma. It was
Oh,
like a lot, and I already had like a lot of respiratory issues because I had like pneumonia twice and like yeah like all
damn.
kinds of shit. Yeah,
Do you have
so
weak lungs? Like in general?
I don't know, but I know that lung cancer is a family history on my dad's side.
Mm,
So, and you know what? Even though I had all these issues, when I was 18, I started smoking cigarettes like a fucking idiot. And I smoked for 9 years. And then my
oh,
uncle,
damn. Okay, you didn't even just like start it and like have a phase. Like you did it
no,
for
man,
nine
I was
years.
like
Damn.
committed to my
Yeah.
habit. Yeah. And I
Do you
smoked for
still
nine
smoke?
years.
Probably not, right?
No, I
Okay.
quit because two of my uncles, my dad's older brothers, they both died like back to back lung cancer, and then
Damn.
their sister also got lung cancer, but she wasn't even a smoker. Her husband smoked. And I was like, okay, three people, one family in the last 4 years, like that's enough for me to quit smoking. So like
Damn. Yeah.
I quit like cold turkey. Just no more cigarettes, I'm done.
Respect,
You
man.
know.
That's
I mean, it's a nasty habit and it's expensive. Like I was living in New York at the time. Like, cigarettes were like $14 a pack, and I was like,
yeah.
this is stupid. I don't even like
Yeah.
it. You
So
know?
I sometimes I see people who smoke a pack a day. I'm like, dude, how?
How do you
You're a
afford it?
barista. You're a
Yeah.
barista, dude. That's
How
like
are
an hour
you
of your working. You're
you have
working an
to
hour of
make
your work is a cigarette.
30 lattes to
Yeah.
fucking have that pack.
To get that pack.
It's a stupid habit. Like and I guess my most recent anxiety attack or depression attack was like Tuesday when I got back to LA, and like just coming back to LA and knowing I have to go to Fu's funeral memorial and seeing Norm Macdonald died, like that was like the first thing I
Yeah.
saw on my phone. And then getting this letter saying like, well, everybody on unemployment is no longer going to get the pandemic relief fund that was like giving us extra $300 a week, and that was like paying for
Yeah.
my rent and shit, and it was just gone, right? So
That's
it was
bullshit.
like finance stuff, like death stuff, like it was just too much. and I was like going like spiraling, like anxiety makes you spiral a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, what's the way out here? And then I realized I was like, well, I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to drink alcohol. I used to smoke a lot of pot. Like my pot habit was a very recent thing. I started smoking a shit ton of pot starting in March, and then
Yeah, I saw
I
you with the pen, right? You have like the
I had a
the vape.
pen. I smoked flowers. I had edibles. Like I was like fully into it. And then I stopped it in like a month ago. And pot is also expensive. It's an expensive habit. And quit all of it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm glad that I quit all that shit because if I'm not getting proper income anymore and I still had those dependencies, I would have still had those dependencies. I would have continued that habit nonetheless,
Yeah,
even if I can't afford it. That's how people end up on the streets and shit. So I was like, I'm glad that I was able to let go of those things fairly quickly and easily. Maybe it was to prepare me for this moment.
right.
So, I mean, that's what I mean by sort of like the rethinking, the redirecting the perspective so that I'm not unhappy.
Yeah, you definitely need to do that. Otherwise, you're right. You spiral.
You
Like,
get stuck in it. And
yeah,
it's
you
an
just get
entrapment.
yeah. It's like a ride that as soon as you entertain the thought, you just like hop on it, and then it's the express way to hell. Like you just
There's no end to it. Yeah. Similar to the
yeah
rage thing. There's no end to it.
yeah. You just kind of like figure that one, you need a healthy outlet for it, and
Yeah.
then two, you just gotta like when you're feeling pissed, find a way to
Yeah.
like not act on it. For me, it's just to remove myself from the situation,
Uh-huh.
and then like literally 5 minutes after the thing that got me so pissed happened, I'm like fine. I'm fine after
Mm.
that. So then like I can just re-enter conversation again and
Yeah.
be completely good and not say
Mm-hmm.
anything that I'm gonna regret or do anything I'm gonna regret.
Right. It's harder for me, honestly. Like rage is it's a vice. Rage is addicting.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, especially if you're right, you know?
yeah.
You're
Mm-hmm.
like, I get to blow up right now and I'm
Exactly.
completely justified, and so you just go.
The self-righteousness. But that's what ego is. Ego always insists that you are right. Ego says, I
Yeah.
am right. That's what ego is. And
Everybody always thinks they're right, you know?
exactly.
Every person in an argument, each side thinks they're right.
Yeah. 100%.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you some flashcard questions. And you just
Sure.
answer them based on whatever you would do in that moment, okay?
Sure. Okay.
I don't know if you were sitting around watching Korean dramas when your mom and your sister were watching them ever growing up.
Hmm. Yeah.
But there was a show called 가을 동화 or Autumn in My Heart. Came out in the year 2000. Does this ring a bell
Hmm.
at all?
I've probably seen it because my mom watches all of them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
I don't. You'd have to describe it to me, and maybe I might know it.
Okay. Well, in the questions you will get the description. So,
Gotcha.
okay.
Okay. I'm not
Let's
sure if you're
say
asking. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say you're a girl named Shine. You're in middle school, right? And you come from a really poor family. Your father was an alcoholic. He died of leukemia. And your
Okay.
mother is a very angry woman because she's broke as shit. She's a
Okay.
single mother. She runs a tiny restaurant. A lot of drunk men come to eat there.
Uh huh.
Um,
Am I
you have an
pretty?
older, you have an, huh?
Am I pretty?
Are you pretty? Not
Yeah.
really. You're
Okay.
no,
All right.
not really.
I'm
Also,
like,
you're in middle
this,
school. Like, what the fuck does it matter? All right. It
nobody wants
doesn't
to be
matter
pretty
if
in
you're
middle
pretty or
school.
not.
You want to be pretty in middle
Yeah.
school? Okay.
Um, and you have an older brother. He's a deadbeat. He's an asshole. Okay.
Okay.
There's this girl in your class that
All right.
everybody loves. Okay. Her name is Eunse. She's rich. She's
Uh huh.
she's pretty and she's popular and she's nice. She's nice to everybody. Everybody loves her. Okay.
Uh huh.
And you have a lunchbox, like a toshirak, and it's full of just one panchan. It's just kimchi and rice. That's it. It's like a broke bitch's lunchbox, right?
My life
And her
sucks.
her lunchbox is full of like meat and all kinds of goodies, and all the
Uh huh.
girls in class are like hawking over her lunchbox. They love her. And she shares everything because she's nice, right?
Uh
And
huh.
seeing this makes your blood boil, okay?
It
And
does.
Eunsa is an honest mistake. She accidentally bumps into you and you drop your lunch and it falls all over the fucking floor. What do you do?
Like in character or like as who I am right now? Am like what do I do as her?
You know, everybody asks me this. I don't know how to answer. It's just, yeah, like you are her.
If I'm her,
What
I'm
would you
probably
do?
super my ego is my like self-confidence for one is probably super low
Yeah.
because,
Hmm.
you're in this really poor environment. You probably have a very low opinion of yourself because you
Hmm.
look at her and she's like, "Wow." And then you look at yourself and you're like, "I'm just a piece of lint that has garbage for lunch." And so like when this happens, even though you're feeling this,
Yeah.
just because I as this like moderately attractive middle school girl who's poor
Hmm.
would probably not feel like I had the inner like the confidence, to like
Okay.
even if I was pissed to
Yeah.
like give her a piece of my mind
Ah,
in front of the class. I'd be like,
interesting.
like she'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I'd be like, "Oh yeah." And then maybe in the bathroom I'd be like, "That bitch." You know? But I wouldn't have it in me to be like super. I wouldn't go in front of the class
Right,
if I was
right,
her. If that's how I grew up and
right.
all that background. No,
Interesting. Okay. So you wouldn't
yeah,
confront her to her face, but you would bitch about it later.
yeah, probably just to myself, not even to like other people,
Right.
because I probably don't have friends because I'm like poor and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh
Everyone loves
man.
her, and I also be
Okay.
afraid, yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
like everyone would hate me
Mm.
because if I was mean to her and everyone loves her, that they would
Right.
like
Yeah.
defend her and then like
It'll
make my
backfire.
life more
Yeah.
difficult. Yeah, exactly. So I'd probably just
Totally.
be quiet.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's say
Cool.
now you're the other girl. You're Unsa now. You're the rich
Okay,
girl.
I get to be pretty now. Okay.
You're pretty. Yeah. You're rich. You're sweet. Everybody loves you. Okay. And
Hmm.
you have an older brother named Chunseol. Yeah. And you guys have a great relationship. Older brother, younger sister, awesome relationship. Your parents
Okay.
are both really loving, okay? You and your family come home after a really nice evening out on your birthday, and you see Shine, that poor bitch, standing in front of your house. And she's
Okay.
crying, and she claims to be the daughter of this house. And you're supposed to be the daughter of the shitty house that she lives in because the two of you were switched at birth and no one knew until recently. What do you do?
One, that's pretty far fetched. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd be like, show me proof. Even if I wasn't this girl, I'd be
Hmm.
like, you can't just show up at someone's house and be like, I deserve
Right.
to be here. We were switched at
Hmm.
birth. I'd be like, who are you? I'd be like, that's kind of
It's a
that's
lot.
like yeah, it's just wild. Like
Hmm.
you would need proof,
Yeah.
and if you need proof, because like she's trying to come for your life,
Yeah. This is your CIA training coming in. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
They'd probably be like, you need to murder her and make sure no one. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I don't know. That's wild. I don't know. Like that's not something that a middle school girl needs to be dealing with. She should be
Hmm.
going to
Good
like
point.
the authorities and being like, "Yo, we were switched at birth. Figure this shit out." Not to another middle school girl and be like, we're gonna
Right. Yeah. What
we're
is
gonna
she
figure
supposed to
this
do with this
we're gonna figure this
information?
crime out, together.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Very, very true statement. Yes.
cool.
Okay. Let's say you're Unsa's non-blood related mom. Okay. You're the sweet girl's mother, but not related by blood. You find out that your daughter is not your own. This
Uh-huh.
raggedy ass Shine girl who lives in that raggedy ass house with an abusive mother and abusive older brother is your real daughter. What do you do?
Have I always been rich?
Oh.
Yeah, I've always been
Hmm.
rich.
Hmm.
I probably wouldn't care.
Wow.
Probably wouldn't care
You just
because
continue to
my
live with your.
yeah, because like rich people care about like saving face,
Ah.
like things like especially in Asian culture. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God.
It's
Like
out of control.
then there's like this dirty secret that like
Mm.
what would the other
Oh,
families think of this?
the
What would
people
relatives
will
think about
talk.
this?
Yeah.
And talk mad shit.
Mm-mm.
And then the husband's image,
Yeah.
the breadwinner, like
Disgrace.
what if his coworkers found out,
Yeah. It's unspeakable.
Yeah. all the shame that
Okay.
would happen. So you would just
Right.
keep your mouth shut. I would just keep my mouth shut. Just continue dusting shit in the house and like wearing slippers indoors, like they do in like they do in Korean dramas. Like that's
With like
the
a slight heel, right? Yeah, the mom's always have a
right.
slight heel in her slippers. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Wearing sweaters and shit
Yeah.
indoors and just like
Wearing full makeup,
right. Always
a
just
lot of
drinking tea and shit.
jewelry. Yeah, drinking a lot of tea. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Okay, let's say you're Unsa again, all right? The sweet girl.
Okay. Okay.
Shine, the bitchy one, the raggedy ass one, she moves into your house, all right?
Uh-huh.
And your parents tell her that they will raise her like their own with you and your older
Okay.
brother, okay? And
Uh-huh.
you decide on your own accord to go and live in the poor family's house with the poor mother, okay? And you have
Uh-huh.
this now new older brother who treats you like shit. He's always stealing money from your poor mom. And one day your parents and your older brother, the fake ones, okay, the not blood related ones, your parents, older brother, and Shine, they pack up everything and they move to America and leave you behind. What do you do?
What do I do?
Hmm.
Still in middle school, right?
Uh-huh.
I think you're just screwed at that point, right? Like you're hosed. You got, you know? At that point, you just have a moment of realization that you just got. And there's nothing you can do, you know? You just
Hmm.
gotta live with that abusive family and be poor now.
Mm,
Be pretty and poor and then go to school and have everyone be like, "Oh, she used to be so different because she had
right.
money before, but now she doesn't, and that somehow
Oh
makes her
my God.
different."
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
or if she still goes to school, I don't know. Maybe she decides to be a comic. I don't know what's in
Okay.
her mind.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Uh,
like
uh,
that's like the origin story of like a comic right there. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah, you were switched at birth. You found out later when you're in middle school. Your not blood related family that you knew all your life abandoned you and moved to America, and then you became a comic. Yeah.
that could also just be a really good plot for like a revenge story, you know? Like
It
if
could.
you were petty,
That's the first act. Mm-hmm.
right? Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
not John Wick style, but like, you know, do some like old boy
Something.
plotting, something
Uh-huh.
sick.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're still the same person, but you're in sub, but you're in your 20s now, okay? You're a grown woman.
Okay.
And you've been working at a hotel as a maid, all right? And there is this really um, hot but annoying resident at the hotel, a guest at the hotel named Tizhook, and he's like
Okay.
obsessed with you, all right? And
Oh damn.
one night he's like really drunk and he's being such an asshole to you, but he's like pretty hot and he's like really into you. And he keeps pressuring you to go out with him and he even propositions you out of like fit of rage and he offers you money to spend the night with him. Meanwhile, you're a broke ass, okay? Your mom keeps getting hunted down by loan sharks because your deadbeat older brother keeps getting into trouble. What do you do?
What day and age is this? Is this like
It's the year 2000.
2000s? Oh
It's the
damn
year
it. So
2000.
there's
It's
no OnlyFans
Y2K.
yet?
No.
Damn it. I was gonna say like be like I'm better than this and then just do it online. You know?
I think you could have done this online in the year 2000. I think they had internet
Could you
porn in
have?
2000. Yeah.
You could probably still sell your panties. I had a friend who was selling her like in college. She was just doing this all throughout college. Was selling her panties, used panties for like $40 a pop
Wow.
to people, and she would just mail it to them,
She
and then
probably
they
could
would
have
just
gotten more. Underwear is expensive, man.
right. But she would
Yeah.
just buy like these really cheap pairs in these
Ah,
like
okay.
big bulk
Okay, okay.
packs, and then she would just like
That's smart.
wear it for
That's very, very smart.
wear it for a day, and then just like
Yeah.
send it to people, and then
That's
they would give
brilliant.
her money. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And I was like, you can just do that? Like it was just so wild. So like maybe there are other routes. If you're asking if this man is super hot rich dude
Yeah.
propositioned me for sex and I'm
Yeah.
desperate,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Is she smart? Because if she's kind of dumb, then it's just like this is my only recourse, you know. Like, but
She did not go
if
to
she's
college.
That's not an indication if you're
Yeah, I agree,
smart.
but I mean, I don't know. It's you're her.
I'm
You are
her.
her. Yeah.
Okay, if I'm her,
Yeah.
then I don't know if I'd be smart, but I wouldn't. I'd be like, there are other options,
Okay.
man. Maybe approach me when I'm 30, and life has really worn me down, and then I might. But I'm 20. I'm fresh. I have ideals still that are still shiny, and I have standards that have not been tested yet, and I'm gonna say no because I'm
Okay.
20.
All right, very good.
But if I'm like 30,
Yeah,
maybe.
check in with me a few years later when I'm
Yeah,
over the hill.
when the
When I'm
world has broken
30
me.
fucking years old and I'm just there's no turning back. When I'm old as fuck.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly. You
got
get
it.
it.
Yeah. Okay. So you're now Junse, all right? You're Unse's non-blood related older brother, okay? You're all
Okay.
adults, all right? You have an art degree. You're a professionally recognized oil painter, all right? You're engaged to a woman named Yumi, and you and your younger sister Unse reunite over like after 10 years, just reunite, and you find yourself, it's fucked up. You find yourself falling in love with Unse. Uh-oh. But your fiance Yumi, when she discovers that you're no longer into her, she tries to kill herself because she realizes you don't love her anymore. What do you do?
You're putting me in a lot of scenarios where it's like, this is you, man. You fell in love with your sister
This
now.
is
Now
you.
you
You're
gotta, you
you
gotta.
are
Okay.
this guy.
It's, it's getting my mouth so dry thinking about incest.
I mean, technically, you're not blood related. Technically,
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're not. Oh,
right?
okay. You're not
Because you
blood
were switched
related.
at birth. You were switched at birth.
Technically,
Technically, but you did
technically,
live
Woody
your
Allen's
first
not
like,
really that girl's dad.
yeah.
Technically, okay.
Technically, he isn't.
That's like so Japanese. You know what I mean? There's so many Japanese animes where it's like they're not blood related, so it's
Anything
totally
goes.
okay. Anything okay.
Anything goes.
I mean, is it like okay, one, how much older am I to her?
About 2 years older.
2 years. Okay. And is she into me too? Or is
Yeah.
it just like I'm just into her? So it's like when like a hot sultry, like there's like a fire between us that we
Yeah.
feel, and then
I mean,
my
the two of you
fiance.
were both very shocked when you realized that you had feelings for each other. But turns out it's like the heart wants what it wants, and it is not stoppable. The heart is too strong.
And she's
And
hot, right?
you have a fiance, Yumi. You're supposed to marry this bitch, and
You mean?
she's like suicidal. She slit her wrists and tried to die because you're into her. You're into your former younger sister. What do you do?
I would. That's like such a tough spot to be in. I'd be like, okay, one, I probably don't have many morals because I'm a rich dude. So I'd be like, you know what? I love you, and this is so real, and it's not. We aren't really related. And then also maybe go to my fiance who tried to kill herself and be like, don't do that. That's
Okay.
my. That's like I don't know.
Okay.
What else do you do in that situation? You
All
know?
right.
I just be like, don't come on, don't do that. You know? You're gonna find such a nice guy who's gonna love you
Oh my
better than
god.
I did. That's not gonna be related to you. And as you can see, I haven't really broken up with many people, so I don't know how to do that. You just be like, I'm sorry.
Mm.
I
Okay.
brought you some chocolate or something. Do you buy them a gift as like a?
No.
You're making faces. I'm saying all the wrong things here. You put
Yeah.
me in a bad spot.
I did. Well, I mean, I didn't. It's the premise of the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. That is a tricky one. It's a hard one, but okay.
We got
Let's say,
incest and suicide in one.
yeah, it's a lot. It's intense. Okay, so you're Eunse again.
Okay.
You and Chunse decide to go against everybody's word and be together, all right? But
Go against God.
but you've started getting these nosebleeds. So you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, "Hey man, you have leukemia. It's the same disease that killed your dad, who you never met. What do you do?"
One,
What
I
do you
saw this coming. I saw this coming because this is a
Of
Korean drama.
course. Yeah.
Um, how many months do I have?
A few months.
A few
It's like
months.
stage 4. It's pretty bad.
I would keep it a secret and
Mm,
not even seek treatment.
wow.
I'd just be like, "Fuck it. This is how I go. This is how I go," and
Whoa.
just like go hard. Just like, all right, we fucking. We better be fucking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm about to. I'm gonna die. I would keep dropping that in like as like a metaphor, but I'm being serious
Right. Yeah.
to everybody. Like if we're gonna eat, we gotta eat like I'm gonna die tomorrow, and my fiance would be like, "Oh wow, I'm really into how really into how you want to live." Just
She's all about the present.
and then I would
Yeah.
just die after 4 months, and then he'd be and then credits roll.
Wow. Wow. Kind of like Norm Macdonald. Like, don't tell anybody. You just live hard and you just
Yeah,
go.
yeah, and then they'll be like, "That's so. It was so her to."
To have kept
Not
it a
tell
secret.
anybody. Yeah, and then have just
Oh, gosh.
YOLO'd everything for the last 4 months.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
She didn't pay any of her speeding tickets or parking tickets. That should have been a bad sign.
Yeah. Her credit card bill was really extreme. Like,
Yeah,
but she
kept
was
opening
just
new
so
ones.
relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was weird. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So let's say you're Chunsa now. Okay. You're the older brother, the one that's
Okay,
like into his sister.
gotcha.
You find out that your younger sister, who you're in love with, who your family abandoned at one point, who you now left your fiance for, who made you determined to become a social disgrace
Okay.
for, has this cancer thing. She's dying. What do you do?
So I found out she's dying.
Yeah,
How far along is she? Like on her deathbed, or is she still
like
like
like stage 4. Like she's like nose bleeding everywhere all the time.
she's
She's
still
very
like walking
pale.
around? She's
She's
not
walking
in the
around,
hospital.
but she's like not like fully there. She's like very ill. She's like
Okay, she's
very, very ill.
okay.
She's very weak, and she's
Gotcha.
like,
Okay,
yeah,
but she's not
she's
like in the
barely
bed yet.
hanging on. Yeah,
Okay.
she's not quite lying up in bed, and she's not bald and shit. No, no.
Okay. Well, I'll just be like, yo, I gotta be around you. 'Cause you're dying, and I'm I'm rich, so I have.
Uh-huh.
And I'm rich, so I have the time and resources to devote to being around you because you're dying, and then she's not seeking like treatment, right? She's just
She
like
is.
she
She's like
okay.
she's on meds and stuff.
Okay, then I would have one of those like rich guy moments where it's like, Please, doctor, I'll give you all the money, anything in the world. Please, just save her."
Hmm.
And I would do that, and then be around her, and just never let go of her hand because she's gonna die.
Mm.
So you gotta hold on to her hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That's true. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Last
yeah.
question. Let's say you're Unsa's non-blood related mom and dad. Okay, the ones that abandoned her when she was in middle school and left you. You left her behind and went to America. Okay.
Okay.
Unsa is now dead of cancer. She died.
Damn.
And on the day of her funeral, on the day of her funeral, your son Chunsa gets hit by a car and he also dies. What do y'all do?
I see we're in the third act of this K drama, so everyone's just it's just popping off. Everyone's
Yeah.
dying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over.
I don't know. I don't know. Your kid just died, so I guess you just grieve. You know what I mean? Like, what else would you do? Like,
Yeah.
he, I'd just be really like sad, and be like giving a eulogy, like, he was such a loving son. He loved everybody, including his half sister, to the point where he was gonna marry her. That just he's such a good guy.
Such a loving
And I'm
man.
sad. Such a loving dude. And then weep.
The end.
The end. That's. I mean, I guess that poor girl is still alive. So then it'd be like, at least we still got
Yeah, the
our
other one.
real daughter.
Right.
We got a
She's not.
spare.
She's not dead. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
God she's still.
Yet, because this
Yeah.
is
Anything could
drama,
happen.
right?
Very good. Okay. Good. That's all of it. Those are all the flashcard questions. Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks
I
for
feel
making.
like that was like going through that there was like a test. They're like you're like you've answered the questions. Thank you. And then I'm gonna put that into an algorithm and
Yeah, and we'll see how you do. Yeah.
advertise to you.
Yeah. No,
Cool.
that's it. Thank you, Elbert. This was great. This was
Yeah, this
very,
was fun.
very pleasant. Thank you. Appreciate your time. And I'll see you
Yeah.
around at some mics and shit, you know?
Yeah, you too. Hey, I saw like you were talking about moving to New York. Are you like sticking around here? Are you going to New York? What's going on?
I don't think I said I was gonna move to New York. I was just back in New York for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I just go back every few months.
Gotcha. So you're like
Yeah.
sticking around LA for sure?
I think so for now. Yeah. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens with like job situation stuff like that. I don't have control over wherever the job lands me. I'll end up at, but
Yeah.
I prefer to stay in LA for now. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Good to know. Then yeah, for sure. See you around.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
Yeah.